Hello, good morning students, and welcome back once again to another video for the class 10 chapter light. And today we'll be doing the revision of the whole refraction part. So just like we did the revision for the reflection part, we will do the revision for the refraction part. The first thing that we studied is diffraction of light. What is diffraction of light? So it is a phenomenon when a ray of light enters from one medium to another medium, then it changes its path a little bit, it diverts its path, and that phenomenon is known as refraction of light. Now how does the refraction work? So if the object is entering from a rarer medium to a denser medium, so the change in the path depends on the density of the two mediums. So suppose the medium in which the light is already going is a rarer medium, and the medium in which it is entering, it is a denser medium, so it bends towards the normal on the surface of the new medium, okay, or the line which separates the two mediums, okay. And when it enters from a denser medium to a rarer medium, then it bends away from the normal. So this is the basic and simple refraction phenomena. Unlike the reflection, the angle of incidence and angle of refraction are not same. Okay, so in reflection we had that angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. It is not same in this case because whenever it enters from one medium to another medium, it changes its path towards the normal or away from the normal depending on the medium in which it is entering, and hence the angle of incidence and angle of refraction are not same. The second thing that we studied is refraction through a glass slab, and this activity was quite simple. The ray of light is in air, and when it enters into the glass slab, it bends towards the normal because we know that a glass slab is actually a transparent medium, but it is a solid medium. Okay, so when it enters from air to solids, it bends towards the normal because the density of glass slab is much more, because it is a solid compared to air or gases, and that is why it bends towards the normal. And when it approaches this part, at this part the refraction takes place once again, and therefore when it exits the glass slab, it bends away from the normal because now it is entering from denser to a rarer medium. So you can see that this was its original path, but then it bent towards the normal, and then when it was going to enter from denser to rarer medium, it was supposed to go this way. But then it changed its path and went away from the normal. It bent away from the normal, and now it is going to this path. Now because the glass slab was rectangular, that is why this surface and this surface, they both are parallel to each other, and thus the refraction takes place in such a way that the original ray of light that was before entering the glass slab, that ray of light, and the new ray of light which emerges from the glass slab, they both are parallel to each other. Okay, these two are parallel to each other. The distance between the two gives us the lateral shift, or how much distance it has shifted from its original path. Okay, now because these two are parallel, the angle of incidence over here and the angle of emergence on this side, they both will be same, and the angle of refraction over here and angle of incidence over here, they both will be same. But the angle of incidence and angle of refraction itself will not be same. Okay, so this angle over here and this angle, they both will be same, and the internal angles, that is angle of incidence on this side, angle of refraction on this side and angle of incidence on this side of the surface, they both will be equal to each other. The next is laws of refraction. So the first law of refraction is that the incident ray, the refracted ray, and the normal, they all lie in the same plane. And the second one is that the sine of angle of incidence to the ratio of sine of angle of refraction is always a constant. This second law of refraction is also known as Snell's law. Okay, so the second law is also known as Snell's law. Remember that. So whenever in the exam if you are asked for 1 mark question, explain the Snell's law or write the Snell's law, then you are supposed to write that during the phenomena of refraction of light, the sine of angle of incidence to the ratio of sine of angle of refraction is always constant. One more thing students, this constant is eta, and that constant is also known as refractive index, and refractive index gives us the idea of how the light will bend or how much the light will bend, whether it is towards the normal or away from the normal. Okay, and that can also be given by sin I upon sin r, and that can also be given by velocity of light in medium 1 with respect to velocity of light in medium 2, and that will give us the velocity, the refractive index of the second medium. So suppose we take the example of this glass slab. This is our medium 1 and this is our medium 2. We need to find the refractive index of medium 2. Why? Because we want to find out how much the light will bend in the second medium. That will give us a particular idea. Okay, so this ray of light, when it enters from this side, the velocity of medium 1 to the ratio of velocity of medium 2 will give us the refractive index of second medium. That is why we are writing the refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium. That is why eta 2 1. So refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium, and that is why we write the velocity of first medium to the ratio of velocity of second medium. Okay students, and the next point is absolute refractive index. So whenever we are comparing a particular medium, okay, we need to find the refractive index of a particular medium. But if it is being compared to air or vacuum, then we call it absolute refractive index. I repeat once again, if we are comparing a medium, particular medium, okay, and when we are comparing it with air or vacuum, that is space, that means no medium, at that particular time, we are calling that particular refractive index as absolute refractive index. Okay? I hope it is clear to you students. The next is lenses, refraction through lenses, and we studied two types of lenses, concave and convex lenses, just like the concave and convex mirrors. So concave mirror is a diverging mirror, and concave lens is a diverging lens, and convex lens is a converging lens. In the previous cases when we studied about mirrors, concave mirror was a converging mirror and convex mirror was a diverging mirror, but it is changed now. When we are talking about lenses, concave lens is a diverging lens and convex lens is a converging lens, and that is why the image formation is totally different. So when we are talking about convex lenses, I have drawn all the 6 cases for you, and in all these 5 cases it is similar to the concave mirror that we saw in the mirrors and reflection part. So the first case, when the object is at infinity, the rays of light will focus at one point, so the image will be very small point size and diminished, but still real and inverted, not erect, inverted. The second case, when it is brought beyond 2f, okay, so when it is brought beyond 2f, the image will be between f and 2f, just like when it is beyond c, the image will be between f and c. The same thing is happening over here, only that this is lenses, so it is on the other side of the lens. That is the only difference, and that is why you can see over here it is beyond 2f, then the image is between f and 2f. Okay. If the object is on 2f, then the image is also on 2f, and it will be of the same size. In this case, it will be diminished. You can see that the image is smaller than the object. That is why it is diminished image. Still larger than before, but smaller than the original object, and that is why the image is diminished, real and inverted. Okay. In this case, when the object is on 2f, the image is also on 2f, still real and inverted, but now the image has become even larger and now it is of the same size. So there is no magnification. The image is not diminished or the image is not magnified. It is of the same size as that of the object. In the next case, if we bring the object even closer, between 2f1 and f1, then the image goes beyond 2f2. Okay. So if it is between f and c, then the image is beyond c. So same thing is happening over here. Between 2f1 and f1, then the image is beyond 2f2. And this time, now it has become larger image, and that is why we can call it an enlarged image. Okay, between f and 2f, so the image is larger than the object itself. as you can see in the diagram. Okay. The next is, if we keep the object even closer, that is on F, then the image goes to infinity. These two lines will be parallel to each other and they will be able to meet very far away at infinity. So the image will be very large, highly enlarged, real and inverted. Still they will be inverted. And in the last case, if we bring the object even closer, that is between F and optical center, then the rays of light will not meet. The rays of light will not meet. They will only meet virtually like this. Okay? And the image will be on the same side, but virtual and erect this time. It will not be inverted, it will be same as the object. Okay? But it will be virtual. And it will be enlarged. It will not be real, it will be virtual. It will not be diminished, it will be enlarged. Okay? So that is convex lens. We move on to concave lens. Now because this is a diverging lens, just like convex mirror, this concave lens is a diverging lens, and that is why we have only two cases just like convex mirror. Okay, not convex lens, convex mirror. So in concave lens, only two cases are there. If the object is at infinity, the image will be at focus. Okay. If the object is at infinity, image will be at focus. Remember one thing, students, whether it is a mirror or a lens, whether it is concave convex mirror or concave convex lens, if the object is at infinity, in all the four cases, mirrors as well as lenses, the image will always be at focus if the object is at infinity. Okay, you can see over here as well, if the object is at infinity, image is at focus. If the object is at infinity, image is at focus. And if you see my previous videos in the mirrors as well, in the concave mirror, if the object is at infinity, the image is at focus, real and inverted, but at focus. And if it is convex mirror, still it is virtual and erect behind the mirror, but still it is at focus. So it will always be at focus if the object is at infinity. And over here we bring the object somewhere closer to the lens. It doesn't matter over here to F1 or F1. It does not matter. When we bring the object closer, the image will get larger and larger, but it will always remain diminished. It will be virtual and erect, as you can see over here. The image will never go past F1. So it will always stay between F1 and optical center. It will be somewhere over here only, between F1 and optical center, but it will never go past F1. So it will never be between F and 2F or beyond 2F, nothing like that. It will always remain between F and optical center. I hope it is clear to you, students. Just like convex mirror, when the object does not go beyond that, it always remains between pole and focus. Similarly, the image always remains between focus and optical center. And it will always be diminished. It will never be enlarged image, always diminished image, and it will be virtual and erect. It will not be inverted, it will be erect. I hope it is clear to you, students. The next is the lens formula, that is 1 upon F is equal to 1 upon V minus 1 upon U. Magnification H dash upon H is equal to V upon U. In mirror formula we had 1 upon V plus 1 upon U. In lens we have 1 upon V minus 1 upon U, so don't get confused. And in mirror's magnification we have minus V upon U. In lens magnification we have just V upon U. So both the things are reversed in lenses. Okay, in mirror formula for mirrors we have 1 upon V plus 1 upon U, and magnification formula for mirrors we have minus V upon U. But in lens formula for lenses we have 1 upon V minus 1 upon U, and the magnification for lenses is V upon U. So the minus signs have been reversed. Power of the lens, the last topic of the chapter. Power of the lens is given by the inverse of focal length. So whatever the focal length in meters, of course if it is given in centimeters, you always convert it in meters first and then use it in the numerical. Okay, and the unit of power is diopters. It is given by capital D. Okay, so whenever you are given the power in diopters and you are supposed to find the focal length, you will find the focal length, but that will be in meters. Suppose you get the focal length of 0.5 meters. Then you will have to convert it in centimeters and it will be 50 centimeters. So the focal length of that particular lens is 50 centimeters. If the power is in plus, that means we are talking about convex lens, and if the power is in negative, then we are talking about concave lens. Why? Because the focal length is on this side, and for this the focal length is on that side, on the right hand side. That is why this will be in positive and this will be in negative. I hope it is clear to you, students. That concludes our revision for the refraction part. All the topics have been covered. I'll give you a few seconds to take a look at the board. In the next video, we'll start with the numericals of this chapter, particularly this lens part. Just like the mirrors part, we had numericals, find the image distance and object distance, similar find the focal length. So same thing will be carried forwarded in the lenses as well, and we'll use lens formula and magnification for that, just like we did the mirror formula and the magnification for mirrors. The same thing we'll be using for the numericals in the lenses as well. Till then, have a nice day.